The first quarter of 2024 has seen a notable increase in fraud and forgery within Nigeria's payment system, particularly in point-of-sale transactions. Now, according to the Fraud and Forgeries Report in Nigerian banks for the first quarter of this year by the Financial Institutions Training Center, FITC, POS fraud cases surged by 31.12% during this period. In the fourth quarter of last year, there were 2,683 reported cases of fraud associated with POS terminals, but this number rose to 3,518 cases by the first quarter of this year, making up 30.6% of the total fraud cases recorded in the quarter. Now, despite the rise in fraud cases, the amount of money involved in POS fraud decreased by 37.74% to 376.59 million naira, and the amount lost to POS fraud also saw a significant decline of 68.34% to 4.63 million naira on a quarterly basis. While the increase in financial losses may indicate improved detection and prevention measures, the overall increase in fraud cases emphasizes the need for continued vigilance. Now, on the show today, we will be focusing on the importance of staying vigilant as incidents of POS fraud have increased by 31.12% this first quarter of this year due to the proliferation of terminals. Welcome to Business Insight. I am Justin Akadonye, your host. All right, now the surge in point-of-sale fraud can be directly linked to the widespread adoption of these terminals by both merchants and consumers. As a cash-driven Nigerian economy, the convenience and efficiency of POS transactions have made them a popular choice. However, this increased usage has also made POS systems a prime target for fraudsters seeking to exploit vulnerabilities in the system. I have Estate Surveyor and Public Affairs Analyst Mustapha Ewenla joining me now more for discussion on this matter. Good morning to you, Mustapha. Thanks for joining us on this discourse. All right. You will agree with me that financial inclusion has actually deepened over time since the lockdown. What did you call it again? That was
COVID-19.
COVID-19. Yes. Since then, Nigerians really started, finding ways to be included and all that, and there was a proliferation of POS transactions. Even till now, most Nigerians actually go to buy money, in quotes, to do one transaction or the other. But then, the reports we are getting is really not a savory one because just this quarter, first quarter in 2024, there were reports of about a surge of about 31.12%. What's your opinion, really?
Okay, thank you. So I think this is a very critical topic. That's because it has to do with money. And generally, I think POS terminals became more popular during the time of COVID. At the time where Nigerians couldn't go out and couldn't really have access to the banking halls. So, but it's very sad and unfortunate to see the increased amount of fraud cases with POS terminals lately. As at the first quarter of this year, we had a total amount of about 3,500 fraud cases associated with POS terminals. And if you hear one of the reporters who just spoke now, a lot of these POS terminals are not registered. According to the CBN and the NEFF, which is the Nigerian Electronic Fraud Forum, which is a ham working with CBN to ensure that that area is, regulated. There are only about from the first quarter of this year, there are only about 4.9 million registered POS terminals. But I put it to you that we have well over 10 million POS terminals all over the country right now. That out of that 10 million, 4.9 are registered, the others are not registered. And that's evident from what the other speakers spoke about just now and from the report. So I think it is very important that the CBN, the NEFF, and also Ammban, the Association of Mobile Money and Banking Agent, also tries to do a lot to sanitize that sector. I know that a lot of the process involved in getting these POS terminals, I think you have to register with some of the agents. We have quite a number of them. You register, you fund the account. When you fund the account, you apply for the POS, then within 48 hours or thereabouts, it's delivered to you.
Yes.
But I think that the process involved in getting this POS terminal should be more stringent. We are in the world, in Nigeria today, we have BVN, we have NIN. A lot of these businesses are small-scale businesses. You see a tomato seller by the roadside these days have POS. And instead of using that POS to just transact based on the tomato he or she is selling, she starts to do money exchange where people come to withdraw. She becomes a bank on her own. And so I think, so a lot of people are using those POS terminals for all the wrong reasons. And that's why the fraud cases are very alarming.
Okay, let me butt in here because I have had the opportunity to speak with Ammban over time on this issue, and specifically the proliferation of POS operators, and they had said over time that ordinarily, like you had also mentioned, these operatives or operators, they should be registered with maybe the bank agents and the money points, the OPAs and the PAMPAs of this world. But oftentimes, they are supposed to use for merchant transactions, just to buy and sell and exchange of cash. But over time now, they now do other services,
they do a lot of banking transactions,
payments, and so how do we get this right? Because over time they said they have started a joint task force and they did like a storm in the Balindi market, and but just this year alone, the number is increasing compared to what we have last year. Is it like the sensitization is not enough, or that these fraudsters have gotten wiser?
So whether you like it or not, as technology is advancing, fraudsters are also trying to devise means of survival too. So the technology is moving forward. Fraudsters are also thinking, day in, day out on how to, cheat the system. So if you see the spate of increase in the rate of fraudulent transactions with POS, you understand that the CBN and the NEFF and even Ammban, also even our security agencies need to be at the top of their game to make sure that these things are tracked down. Now, in recent times, CBN is trying to come up with a feature on POS terminals where they can detect fraudulent transactions. So I think they are finalizing that process within now and the next couple of months. It's already in the pipeline. So if you want to do certain transactions on POS terminals, there are certain limits where you'll be required certain informations to like a KYC to ensure that the person carrying out that transaction is the actual owner of that ATM card or the funds in that account. So if you are not able to answer, for example, I think there should be a limit to the amount of transactions you can do on a POS terminal. But these days, I don't think there's any limit yet, because I remember one time I had to travel out of the country and I bought my ticket from a POS agent just by the roadside. She bought my ticket for me from a POS. So you understand? So I imagine what kind of the volume of transactions they are able to do. So I think first of all, they need to be regulated, and a lot of awareness and enforcement needs to happen. Then also there needs to be a limit to the amount of transactions you can do. So, but if that is done, so around April this year, the CAC, Corporate Affairs Commission, issued out a memo to say that all POS terminals must be registered. And I think the deadline is September this year.
Yes,
so as a POS vendor, your business must be duly registered. So if that is done, it's going to be very easy to trace fraudulent transactions. But a lot of them right now are not registered, and that's why they're just doing what they like.
I think the issue is the regulation, because right now the case is actually in court, so I don't want to get so into it because of sub judice. But the issue is that Ammban is claiming that most of these POS agents or operators have already registered. They are not really businessmen per se. Some of them, they are sub-agents of this bank agent, and indeed, and of course, those agents should ordinarily have the details. So asking them to re-register is like a double registration. But then let's talk about KYC. We cannot really emphasize that enough. Know your customers. Even the banks are very big on KYC when you want to open accounts. But you find out that most times the issue is that you go to random locations, you see a POS with no physical location. They cannot really be traced. Some of them, they have registered with these bank agents and at a particular location, but they don't stay in their locations. They are just like almost everywhere. Each place you just go, POS, as if it's like they are selling essential commodities. But what do we begin to do? How do we ensure that these KYC protocols are actually met, and so that we can trace these people to where we can get them? Because there have been cases of security indictment in the northern part of the country, how POS operators have actually worked with these bandits, to collect ransom. So what do we need to do about this KYC to get to nip it in the bud?
So naturally, I think KYC is a fundamental process for any business and also any bank customer. If you want to open a bank account now, the bank will require a lot of information from you.
Yes, it should.
To your BVN, to your NI, to your
address verification,
home address, to your utility bills. So I think those things need to, follow through thoroughly. Before you give anybody any POS terminal, the banking agent, like the money point and all that, they must definitely have the person's profile. So if any fraud is perpetrated, it's easy for them to go back to that agent and say, yes, so person carried out the fraud, and the merchant it shows that the merchant or the whatever belongs to your organization. So it's easy. But in a case where thorough KYC is not carried out, then it's very difficult to monitor cases of fraud. Whether you like it or not, for me, I cannot remember the last time I went into a banking hall for a certain transaction. I can't remember.
So they've actually brought more.
So the POS actually made life more easy. The terminals have made life more easy to, even during the time of naira scarcity. Whether you like it or not, even a time when the bank had no naira notes to give, the POS were the ones saving many Nigerians. They had cash to give, even though it was at a very high rate. But the most important thing is that they were cash available there. I don't know how they were doing it. So it must have been a synergy from an internal person in the bank giving them cash. But whether you like it or not, they have come to make a lot of things easy. But they just need to be more regulated, and they just need to be more, checked every other time, so they don't take law into their hands. I had a POS. I did an erroneous transaction some years ago to a wrong account. In the next 5 minutes, the person I sent the money to had already gone to a POS and was already withdrawing the money. I totally sent money to a wrong person from my phone. So the person already withdrew almost $500,000 already from the before I was able to rush the bank to get her account blocked. So these are issues. So if she had gone to the bank to withdraw that money, perhaps the bank will have asked her certain questions, and any money that enters your bank account, that's why it's easier to go into the banking or to do transactions.
True.
If somebody sends you money into your bank account now, and you go straight into the banking or to transfer the same money to another bank, the bank will ask you to wait.
True.
Because they have to check where the source of the money, because it's too soon.
Yes.
The money came in barely 5 minutes ago. You are already going into the bank within the same 5 minutes. The bank will say no, they have to get certain approvals before they allow you move that money. But a POS vendor will not have that. They will just collect your POS and swipe it. And that's another thing. So in advanced countries, you can, with a swipe of your card on ATM POS terminals, you can make payments. But there's a limit.
Yes.
There's a limit. In the UK now, if you want to swipe, you can swipe. I think the maximum is £100. If you want to pay anything above £100, you have to impute your PIN, your 4-digit PIN. But in Nigeria, people just get somebody can pick up your ATM now and go to any POS terminal, whether you like it or not, as long as he has that CCV at the back of the card, it's possible to penetrate into your account. So these are issues. I think that people are losing money every day. Sometimes you wake up, you see certain debit alerts on your phone, you start to ask, who made this withdrawal? So you go to the bank, a lot of stories. You hear that the money was withdrawn in Enugu. You hear that the money was withdrawn in Shokoto. You wonder how. And your ATM is right in your pocket. A lot of times, even when you enter one chance buses, a lot of these cases, just because they have access to your ATM, they are able to access all your account. And so this, I think, a lot of check has to happen with CBN. Our monies have to be secured. Those monies that you see are insured one way or the other. So this kind of security that people have, different banks have, differ. So I think they need to constantly continue to up their technology to guide against these fraudsters. Fraudsters are not also sleeping. They want to, siphon people up their money. So it depends. So it now depends on there was the case of a woman who cried out recently, a certain actress who cried out that certain money was withdrawn from her account, about 3 million, and she didn't issue any withdrawal. I think one way or the other, she escalated and the thing was reversed to her account. So these are issues. So the fraudsters are now also sleeping. They are also trying to be on their game too. So So I think there needs to be a lot of synergy between CBN, Ammban, DSS, Nigerian police security agencies to ensure that there's no way you cannot totally curb fraud.
No.
Any country in the world there's fraud. You cannot, even in the UK where they have the tightest security, even in America, fraud happens every minute in the banking sector. So, but at least as much as you can reduce it to make, to secure people's money, the better.
Okay, so as we begin to round off now, what about the place of education? As much as you've talked about regulation on the part of the CBN, the DSS, and of course Ammban, let's talk about the genuine operators, because sometimes some of these operators that help to escalate this fraud or perpetrate this fraud, rather, they are illegal operators. They've not been registered. What about those who are genuine operators who have been registered with their, agents, and sometimes they fall victim too, because we've had cases where people, some unscrupulous customers who just go to them in the guise of wanting to withdraw. They not even defraud the POS operators themselves of their own cash.
So, I think before POS is handed over to a lot of these POS terminals, POS agents, to be very honest, a lot of them are not educated. You find somebody who just feels that, oh, I'm jobless, what can I do? The next thing, he or she picks up POS and sits by one roadside and starts to transact. People will come to you with under the guise of transaction. They will give you, some will even transfer money to you, that they transfer to your account, show you a fake alert, you give them cash, and they vanish. And you will never, that money will never reflect in your account, and they'll show you, in fact, you might even get fake alerts. So as I'm saying, that those POS agents needs to be educated properly. And I think that there should be a lot of, like you said, education in terms of how to, if you really want to go into that business, you need to know the proper things to do, proper things to know, how to know fraudulent customers, because I've seen cases of POS vendors who will borrow cash from banks to be given to people, and people will come and dupe them, and they're suicidal. So it's not just a business that, once anything that has to do with money, it's not just something you can just dabble into and feel that, oh, because you're high-do and you want to start making money one way or the other. You need to understand the business because you're dealing with money. Okay,
so what would your last word on this be as we round off?
So my last word is for CBN and NEFF, the Nigerian Electronic Fraud Forum, and even the police and DSS. There should be a lot of synergy. These are people's money, whether you like it or not. We are not, everything rises and falls on the government. As Nigerians, as our own is to, make sure that we do our part, go to work, make money. So put your money in banks, save money. So how that money is secured is not what any Nigerian can do individually. It's the job of the government and the security agencies to ensure that people get value for their money, and their money is secured.
All right, that's as much as we can take. We must say a very big thank you to you, Mustapha Ewenla, for your insights this morning. All right, we couldn't have said it enough. As much as possible, try to be vigilant and try to observe much KYC as possible, and don't just be in a hurry. That's to the POS operator right now. Don't just be in a hurry to just want to dispense cash when you're not certain that that particular money has actually reflected in your account. There are fake alerts everywhere. Just do your own due diligence, and somehow we just hope that we can begin to nip all of these fraudulent issues as much as possible to the barest minimum. That's the size of the show for today. My name is Justin Akadonye. Many thanks for being a part of it. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.